For decades, American manufacturing made a huge bet. The idea was simple: move factories overseas, save a ton of money, and watch profits soar. It was called the Great Outsourcing Gamble.
But what if that whole bet was wrong? I mean, completely wrong. What if the so-called smartest business idea of a generation was actually a massive historic blunder? Just think about some of the brands we all grew up with. Schwinn bicycles, right? The icon of every kid's driveway, outsourced. RCA, the company that basically put a TV in every American living room, moved. And even Levi's, the American classic, gone. One after another, these huge companies chased cheaper labor, thinking they were being clever. Turns out, they were dead wrong. See, their entire strategy, their whole grand plan, was built on a house of cards. It rested on 5 assumptions about how the world works, assumptions that were naive, short-sighted, and, well, just waiting to collapse.
First up, they assumed that the cheap labor they found in other countries would stay cheap forever. But guess what happens when you build up a country's manufacturing base? That country gets richer, and its labor costs, they go way up. So the #1 reason for outsourcing just kind of vanished.
Second, they bet big on weak regulations. They figured environmental rules, financial oversight, all that stuff would stay loose and easy. But as those countries developed, they did exactly what you'd expect. They tightened the rules. Suddenly, there were all these new costs that were never part of the original math.
Assumption #3, that shipping your stuff from a factory halfway across the planet would always be dirt cheap. They literally thought shipping costs would just stay flat.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Between just 2000 and 2008, the cost to ship one container from Shanghai to San Diego shot up by 150%. All of a sudden, logistics wasn't some tiny line item. It was a huge, unpredictable beast of an expense. Then you've got the gamble on currency itself. They just assumed the US dollar would hold steady against everything else. But when it didn't, bam! Profit margins could get totally wiped out overnight by exchange rates they hadn't even bothered to think about.
And the last assumption, this one is maybe the most arrogant of all, was that the global economy would just be smooth sailing. Forever. They built these incredibly fragile plans that had absolutely no wiggle room for things like oil shocks, financial crises, or, a global pandemic. So here's the bottom line. The world changed, but the outsourcing playbook didn't. The whole promise of cheaper labor and easy logistics just slammed right into the wall of reality, rising costs and ridiculously brittle supply chains. This is the classic trap, right? Leaders get stuck chasing a trend that's already dead, and their actual business suffers for it. Okay, so if chasing cheap labor is a dead end, what's the alternative? What actually makes a factory run well? The answer isn't about finding the cheapest spot on a map. It's about understanding that manufacturing has 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 dimensions. Now, the first 2 are the obvious ones, the ones everyone sees. Dimension 1 is the physical stuff, right? The building itself, where it is, how it's laid out. Dimension 2 is all the gear inside, the machines, the tools, the inventory. These things are easy to see, easy to measure, easy to go out and buy. But if you only focus on the building and the gear, that's a huge mistake. It's like trying to fight a modern war with just your army and your navy, while completely ignoring the Air Force. You're setting yourself up to lose, badly. So, what's the air in this whole metaphor? Well, that's the 3rd dimension. It's the part you can't see, the part that most leaders completely overlook. And it's the part that actually decides who wins and who loses. It's what we call the invisible factory. This 3rd dimension is basically the factory's operating system. It's the playbook. It's the set of rules, the protocols, the policies that dictate how all the people and all the machines actually work together. It's not about what you have, it's all about how you use what you have. And this is a game changer. It means your real competitive advantage isn't that shiny new robot arm or the giant factory floor. Nope. Your single biggest, most valuable asset is the one you can't even touch. It's the intelligence of your system. And look, in a world of constant disruption, supply chain nightmares, automation pressure, crazy cost controls, getting a handle on this 3rd dimension isn't just some nice-to-have idea. It's literally the key to survival. And let's not forget how important this is. Manufacturing is the bedrock of the economy. For every single dollar a factory generates, it creates another $1.37 in other parts of the economy.
Making things matters a lot, and making them well matters even more. So, what do you do with all this? Here are the takeaways. First, stop managing only the stuff you can see. Second, realize your factory's playbook, that invisible operating system, is your most valuable asset, period. Real efficiency doesn't come from chasing cheap labor around the planet. It comes from making your systems smarter. Because in today's chaotic world, the company with the best playbook is the one that wins.
It really comes down to this. You just can't win a three-dimensional game if you're only playing on a two-dimensional board. So the question for you is, are you still ignoring the error?